Now, a Daily Maverick article is causing quite a stir. It details how the lifestyle and political aspirations of EFF leader Julius Malema were allegedly funded from the 16 million rand robbed from the VBS Mutual Bank. Joining us now via Skype to discuss this expose is its author, Paulie van Wyk. Paulie, thanks very much for your time. Let's just get into it straight away. How have you made this link, and what transactions exactly have you studied?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Making the link between Mahuna Investments, the slush fund, and Mr. Julius Malema was quite a series of events that happened over the course of a few months. So in the first instance, it was more a position of trying to prove Mr. Malema right, that he wasn't involved in the VBS robbery, as he has stated so many times before. So what we have done is to look at the payments from the slush fund and at the legal owner, who is Mr. Malema's cousin, Mr. Matsubani Paleng. So the investigation into the account shows that it's a business account, but it doesn't operate as a business to start with. There's no operational costs and no people employed, and it doesn't look as if the business is doing actual business. It's not doing something to derive money from a service or goods being produced. The expenses also look like a person's expenses because it is clothing, groceries, food, accommodation, travel costs, and certain luxuries and businesses that are being funded. So we couldn't put Mr. Matsubani Paleng and his location to this account, apart from the fact that he only received 245,000 rand in director's fees. But Mr. Malema's eldest son, their names appear in the bank statements. The home that Mr. Malema rented, that he lived in for quite some time and is now an EFF asset, received a lot of money. Maketi Lodge, the party venue in Limpopo, received over 2 million rand from this account. And Mr. Tsepo Malema, Mr. Matsubani Paleng, and several other Malema family members seems to be involved in this business. Further, the EFF received a lot of money from this account as well. And then we saw two AfriRent payments, which referred to a questionable payment that Amabungani, the investigative team from there, said may relate to a kickback from AfriRent in the fleet deal relating to the city of Johannesburg. So we looked at all of these payments, and then we decided to see how the point of sale payments, which means that it's a bank card being used that records the location and the product being bought on the bank statement, how we can locate or trace that to a certain person. And in the end, we realized that this card has followed Mr. Julius Malema right around the country to places like Vryburg, Mabato, and Rustenburg in Northwest, the Durban July, and certain places like the rural East London area where the EFF had held their celebrations, their party celebrations, as well as Durban and those areas in 2017, also for EFF celebrations, including then also Cape Town, Polokwane, and Seshego. So all of these places, Mr. Malema visited at certain times and used the card from Mahuna Investments to acquire certain goods and services. So we realized that this card, this bank statement, is actually in use for Mr. Malema's benefit and not Mr. Matsubani Paleng's benefit.
And Paulie, how did you come by these transaction records?
A source provided these, and we cannot say anything more about those, but that they are legally derived.
So, okay, you've touched on this in your first answer just briefly, but Mahuna Investments, you talk about it essentially being a slush fund, but where does the money come from?
The money clearly comes from VBS payments. So let me take you through the link to this account. If we take a step back, certain VBS-linked companies were used in order to get funnel money out of VBS, the bank, to Schameka Project, which is a slush fund operated by Mr. Brian Chivambo, who is the brother of Mr. Floyd Chivambo. from here, 4.8 million rand in about 9 tranches were paid over to Mahuna Investments, and another slush fund, which is owned by Mr. Floyd Chibambu, also sent over 500,000 towards Mr. Malema's slush fund. The money is clearly can be clearly linked to this account because Jamaica received no other money but illegal VBS funds.
Now, if I remember correctly from your article, Paulie, the owner of this entity, Mahuna Investments, has previously said in reply to questions that you've put in your investigations to them that the company is above board, it pays taxes, it does business like any other company. In light of your this most recent article, have you contacted Mahuna Investments again? Just remind us again what that reply was.
Yes, we did, and we provided extensive questions and very detailed findings. So Mr. Matsubani Paleng again said that it is his company, that all expenses are his, that he pays the taxes, and that it's a small company that has done nothing wrong. We found that the Mahuna Investment Bank statements contradict all of these statements. It does not seem to be Mr. Matsubani Paleng's account. It rather seems to be Mr. Julius Malema's account. It doesn't seem as if there's any tax payments or VAT payments being made from this account to SARS. And especially with that, the law dictates that VAT must be paid by the company generating the income. But there's no such payments towards SARS. And it also doesn't seem as if, as Mr. Paleng claims, that the company provided consulting services. It doesn't seem like that because Jamaica Project was a slush fund. It didn't operate as a business. It only received income from illegal VBS money. So there's no way that Mr. Matsubani Paleng could have consulted with this Jamaica Project because it didn't operate like a business.
Yeah, and no doubt you've also put a whole range of questions to Julius Malema himself, not only for this article, but for previous articles as well. What has his response been, if any?
For the latest article, there was nothing, no response from either him or Mr. Mbiaseni Ndlozi. In the previous responses, Mr. Julius Malema said that he doesn't find it necessary to answer to a white woman.
And I mean, you've talked to us about linking the expenditure on this card to Julius Malema's movements. Is it too much of a push to say it might just be a whole range of coincidences?
Well, let's analyze that because that's what we thought as well. We try to put generic places like Johannesburg and Cape Town and Bloemfontein to the side. The problem is that the card also relates to payments being made in places like Vryburg, Mabatu, Seshego, Rustenburg, on the road between the Durban July in Durban and Bloemfontein and Johannesburg. A bulk of these payments has also been made at certain places like garages, fuel garages, and Sandton City and Hyde Park, which is all in a 3.6 kilometer radius from Mr. Julius Malema's house. So it really does seem as if this card followed Mr. Julius Malema around the country.
I mean, these are the kinds of issues that lifestyle audits would put to bed immediately. Paulie, how does this kind of spending relate to what we know about Julius Malema's current income?
So, Mahuna Investments received about 5.3 million rand in illegal VBS funds. This is about 4 times the annual salary that Mr. Julius Malema will derive from Parliament. So if we look at his expenses for his children, his expenses for his clothing, which includes about 500,000 in expensive designer suits from Mr. Linda Makanya, and the homes that he lives in, the cars that he drives. So there are a few things that you have to include in such a lifestyle audit. And let's say that we believe Mr. Julius Malema and that this account has nothing to do with him and that it's all pure coincidence. Then he is still in trouble with Parliament. This is a catch-22 situation because then he will have to go explain why he did not tell us, or Parliament rather, that his children and the home that he lived in and his businesses and his suits derived direct benefit from a donation from this account.
Paulie van Wyk, thanks very much for your time. She's an investigative journalist with the Daily Maverick. The article that is causing such a stir is on its website. You can go and have a look for yourself.